Good morning 3K, or maybe you're watching this in the afternoon, who knows. I couldn't let your last day go without a few words today, so here I go. And if I fluff them, I won't have to film this several times because it's not a lesson for lockdown home learning. They took a lot of doing, I'll tell you. So we've had a great year, haven't we, 3K? So I just thought I'd whiz us through our journey, give you a few memories like I would have done if we were in the class. So when you started in 3K back in September, you'd had a long time off school with that first lockdown, and so it was about all getting used to coming back to school again. But we started with robots. I can remember some of your robot stories and things, and then in the autumn term we also went on to Egyptians, and by the time we got to Christmas we did Elf on the Shelf. Do you remember some of the things our Elf did, and what's your favourites? Well, I do remember him writing on the wall, turning the tree upside down and going on the fan. Do you remember that? That was a bit of fun, wasn't it? And you've made some super progress. You got used to being back in school straight away. And then what happened after Christmas? You didn't come back to school again. We ended up with another lockdown, but this time the home learning was a little bit different. You were already doing your best work in school, so you got used to seeing me or the other teachers, which was nice for some of you to meet the other teachers as well, Mrs. Pledger and Miss Cullen, and watching their videos. And you worked really hard on what was a difficult time. You were either coming into school some days, some of you, and working in a small group, or trying to keep up with home learning at home. And I know a lot of you put a lot of effort in with going on and watching all those videos, seeing us make a fool of ourselves, seeing Darcy the dog, seeing me sledge down a hill, and keeping up with all that fab home learning. It was lovely to see the effort. And then when lockdown finally ended, you came back to school and you were bursting with effort. Some of you came back and really, if I want to use a phrase, you'll miss my phrases, blew my socks off with how hard you tried when you came back. And considering the year we've had, most of you have made an awful lot of progress this year. You've come in so much better in reading, writing and maths across the board. So you've worked yourselves really hard this year, 3K. Give yourselves a pat on the back. And so, and then we've just kept going to the end of the term. And it's been hard sometimes with all the different rules, but finally you got to play with your friends in other parts of the playground, and hopefully in September things will start to feel a little bit more normal. I just want to say a few more things about some of my favourite bits. I'm not going to single out anybody because that wouldn't be fair, but I know that this applies to most of you, that you are so proud if I read your work out and select and say, look at this good piece of writing. And I know lots of you sitting there thinking that was me. I like it when he reads my writing. That's because you've all got the right attitude to work. And if I did a happy dance because you've said something amazing in a maths lesson and things, those are some of my highlights of the year, when it's about what a good class you are at wanting to learn and do your best. I like the fact that you're happy to lead me off at a tangent, and you love it when we go off at a tangent, and that shows a real love for learning. So keep going with tangents. I'm going to give you one last tangent in a few moments. So this is how my brain works. All my tangents finally linked together. One of my other favourite things was on my last day before I had to self-isolate, was how excited you were at being able to go out and sing. You haven't been able to sing together for a long time, and you just wanted to go outside and do that song, that poem. That was really good. So the words of those were How Far I'll Go, and then you went Into the Unknown when I wasn't there. Hopefully with Mrs. Nixon on Friday you did the Frozen one. So I actually stumbled across this yesterday in the news, and I thought I'll share that with them because somebody else has gone into the unknown and how far they'll go. Do you remember how I showed you Richard Branson going into space last week? Well, he's not the only person who's been making rockets and wanted to go into space. There's a man called Jeff Bezos, who was the man who started Amazon, and Amazon's a big company, everyone's heard of Amazon, and they make an awful lot of money. So he made an awful lot of money, and he decided to spend some of his awful lot of money on building a rocket. So this is a job for Miss Nixon, if she goes onto the BBC News website and then clicks on the Science tab, there's a short video of somebody else going into space, into the unknown, which I'm sure you will enjoy. And the big windows, and you can see people floating around. He's taken the oldest person ever into space, 82 I think it says, and somebody who's only 16, 17, the youngest person ever into space with them as passengers, which I thought was rather nice. And then just as I was checking the details of that, here's your second tangent. There was an article on, they found a new fossil site in the Cotswolds, which isn't very far down the road, and there's loads of pictures of fossils and things, so you can maybe have a nosy at that one as well. That's what makes this class a super class. They just like learning new things. So there's 2 things to go and have a learn about. So just to finish off, a couple of notes here. You've been a really hard-working class. It's been a pleasure to have you as my class this year. I've said several times, you're a good class, and I've been able to tell Mrs. Smith that. So it's been fun because you've worked hard. You gel as a class, you look out for each other, you've got a great attitude to learning, and I'm sure you're going to have a fab year next year as well. So have a great summer, and I'm sure I'll see lots of you about in September. Goodbye 3K. Do a silent cheer. One last silent cheer. I don't know whether everyone's here or not, and whether you'll ever get to do a silent cheer again.